I mean, they messed it up. Neo's not going to hold a weapon and shoot guns. What happened to the kung fu fighting? Does anyone remember bullet time? Do you remember when bullet time came in? Bullet time, slow mo invented that shit. What happened to the texture of the Matrix? DOS, I understand we're in the future, so the Matrix is going to be different, but some of these nostalgic things that us fans of the previous trilogies needed, and where were those things? They weren't here. They weren't here. In this video, we're going to discuss my full spoiler review of Matrix 4 Resurrections. Let's go. Yo, welcome back to Old Head Reviews, guys. As always, I'm your host, Joey Sparks. That's two E's, no Y. You heard me. That's two E's, no Y. This is going to be my full spoiler review for the Matrix 4 Resurrections. But before we get started, as always, could you please do me a favor and hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell? With that out of the way, let's get into the review. Did you like the previous Matrix trilogies? I did. The original Matrix is in my top 10 movies of all time. The layered nuances and complicated ideas and lanes of thought. I mean, the overall movie, the thought-provoking concepts that it brought to the table. That's before we even get into the phenomenal film texture of that green DOS color tone, the amazing action choreography, the revolutionary filming techniques like bullet time. These things, like, rest my case. There's no reason to argue anymore on why the original Matrix should be revered as a phenomenal film. The second one I half loved. The third one I didn't like at all, right? So when there was news of a fourth coming, my first thought was, ooh, I'm super excited to see this. And then a beat later, my next thought was, if it took them this long to come out with the fourth installment, it's probably trash. It's probably trash. If it was fire, you would have put it out a couple years after the trilogy lost its steam, right? But you didn't. And I don't know why that is, but you decided to come back around, and then you only brought one of the siblings back, Lana Wachowski. Did not have her sister with her on this one. So maybe that's what made this film hurt a little bit. I don't know. I can tell you that it just fell apart on so many levels. So to get you up to speed, you almost had to see the previous ones to understand this one. And this one was like, you have to know the old ones to get into this, but you don't, because this movie's, I think its biggest mistake is it's too meta. It's too aware of itself, and it keeps reminding us that it knows about its previous installments to the point of actually playing clips of it on the wall from a projector. Like, that's doing too much. You don't have to be that aware. People knew of the Matrix. It's, like, it's a very popular film. But maybe if you didn't have a plot or a great script in mind, then yeah, if this wasn't just a WB cash grab once again, to the point that they even knew that. They even made a joke saying, hey man, they want us to put out a new installment, otherwise they're going to do it without us. When this film opens, it regurgitates the same scene of Trinity in the first one. Well, later you'll find out that it's part of these things that Neo later creates called modules, part of this video game that is a way to cover up how the Matrix memories might still be in Neo's hand. Because see, the thing is, when we start this film off, Neo's still alive. Somehow, the machines brought him back to life, as well as Trinity, and they're kind of using them as the main power source, as well as everybody else. And in order to insert him back into the Matrix, but like leave him hid so nobody can come and find him. It's like 60 years in the future. They changed his look. He looks like an old man, and they made him a video game designer who wrote these 3 video games called The Matrix. So anytime that he might have a memory, it could be, excused as just memories from the video game and not real life. He's also got this guy, Neil Patrick Harris, his therapist, who's like almost taking the role of the architect, but he's there to kind of keep Neo in line, and Neo's taking these blue pills from him. Well, these new, I guess they call them red pillars, people who are unplugging from the system want to go find him, and they need him to pull him out. Well, you get to the end and you find out that really, his love for Trinity is so needed, that Trinity is also part of the one. Like the company, the video game company he works for is called Binary, and it's almost like, they need Neo and they need her, so it's no longer the one, they need the two. It's totally left field of the lure of Matrix. Let's get into the things that did not work besides the plot. Like the plot, you could just sit here and shoot holes in all day long. Let's get into what really didn't work. If you're going to do a new version of the Matrix, you gotta come back and give them fan service, and not by just replaying scenes of the first films on the walls. What you gotta do is like give them some of the stuff they like, what brought them in, without being cheesy. Give them good, like motivated reason why it should be in the film. And this film just didn't have that. Um, uh, what are some of the things you liked about that? Bullet time? Nah. Actually, they brought in some new kind of effect, and it was horrible. It looked cheap. It looked like, I hate to say, low budget music videographer's effect or something like that, but that's what it looked like. Like it just, everybody else in slow motion and the other person is still moving regular time around, like and it was blurry around the edges, almost how like the iPhone when it does that portrait mode but it don't get it right. That's what happened with the new effect. So they totally abandoned bullet time, like, and that's one thing that sucked. What else didn't do well? Neo was fire with them weapons, wasn't he? Like he always should. Not, I don't think he held a gun one time. They literally took, and even in the sequels of the previous trilogy, they took the guns out of hand and just kind of made them more martial arts. But I'll get to that later. That wasn't the reason why they didn't have the guns in his hand. They gave him this stupid, weird force push, and he was doing this. He was running around corners and doing this, and stopping bullets, and just doing this and doing this. And I got so sick of it that it was like I was, oh my god, this is the best y'all got. WB, cash grabbing ass WB. So anyway, you never see Neo with any gunplay like that. So you don't get any bullet time. You don't get any of intricate stuff like that. Fighting. Tell me the Matrix original trilogy was not revolutionary as far as bringing the kung fu flick style of choreography and fighting to the Western silver screen. And now it's just subpar action movie fighting. Like it was horrible. The shots weren't wide and clean. They were muddled and handheld. And even the first fight, at one point in time, Neo has to train again with this new fake Morpheus, and he's got he's got to fight him in the dojo, and it's just sloppy. It's just like, okay, we're about to do something. I was like, yeah, we're about to sink our teeth into it. And it was like, nah, man, it's not. It's not what you was ready for. And so they're just kind of, fighting, and it just looked like an action movie fight. Just like over exaggerated punches, no crisp, calculated hand moves or nothing like that. That was another thing that was bogus. Oh, remember when I said fake Morpheus? Let me get into the people recasting. All right. All right, Lawrence and Hugo, phenomenal actors. I understand you ain't got the money to probably bring them back. Or they're such good actors that they read the script and said, I don't want to be no part of this bullshit. So you recast, and then so in the story, you got to figure out a way to kind of reintroduce these people to the audience who they're familiar with their old counterparts, and you're not going to be able to do that, but the movie tries. Like it's like, yo, remember me, I'm this, and then Neil go, Agent Smith, and you just be like, you're just telling the audience who it is, and the audience is like, what? Now the audience is going, why, who's he? And then they try and get passionate about these people, but you can't, man. Yeah, so like the recast, in my mind, you brought in, what was her name, Bugs or Bug or something like that. And no, I think it's Bugs. Either way. And I think she kind of worked. You know what I mean? I thought she was a bright spot in the new people that they brought on, like the new crew members and stuff like that. But the new cast overall, but You didn't do that with, no, you said we need a Morpheus and we need an Agent Smith and we got to name them that. When you could have just made them different characters. You could have made Morpheus a new type of Morpheus type of character. Like he's looking for Neo. Like you already diverted so much from it anyway. Towards the end, okay, so now they get to the end and they gotta, basically they want to free Trinity from her little capsule where they're using her for energy, but she's so locked in and the Matrix so dependent on it, they actually need Bugs to take her place while they pseudo unplug her, and then they can unplug Bugs later and then get out of there. And through this process, inside the Matrix, Neo doesn't feel right unless he gives her the chance to be unlocked or not. We want to ask her Matrix version of herself, do you want to be unplugged or do you want to stay here? And of course they do some, no, she wants to stay here, but then she thinks about it and goes, no, I want to stay. Well, once she stays, then then they do this stupid thing called the swarm or the hive or whatever it is, basically like zombie versions of people in the Matrix that just, like when they want to capture someone, there's everybody just turns into these zombie-like Matrix drones, and they try and fight them. And then there's motorcycle tricks where you're like, oh shoot, they're about to nail this. Trinity's thing is a motorcycle, right? No, bland, running from the hive, and then once again, no guns, no great, cinematography or anything like that. Just Neo and his stupid ass force pushes. Neo is fire at handling weapons. If I pay the money to get Keanu Reeves on the set, I'm gonna utilize his talents. His action chops, let's be honest, mids. Always been Reggie, always been mids, but his gunplay and his action, fire. They didn't use like just drab running, drab force push, no gunplay. He's fire with the pistol. You seen the John Wicks? You know what he can do? Nope, don't want to do none of that. Want to just try and sit and get into the mind. Now, let me give its best point. Its best point was when it kind of introduced this new thing. Like back in the old Matrix, they wanted everyone to be peaceful and calm and collected so they don't be aware of the Matrix and want to unplug and be a wasted battery for the machines. Well, in this one, they kind of switched it. They were like, nah, long as they're in turmoil. And I kind of saw what they were doing, trying to play off the politics and stuff like that. Just kind of like how we are in our society here in America is like, long as they keep us bickering with one another, the main powers that be, get fuel from it. Like in this movie, the human put out more energy as if their Matrix experience was chaotic. And so, it wasn't just a peaceful life and everybody hunky dory. It was, chaos, and that's what fueled that made a more powerful battery out of the humans that they were harvesting. That was my best part about the whole film. And then when the credits ran, those two things were my favorite part about this film. And I had to get, oh my god, I cannot leave without discussing Jada Pinkett Smith's part in this motherfucking role. Oh my god, the worst. What is her, Niobe was her name in the first one? They bring her back. First of all, who got the old people prosthetic makeup on that shit? Oh my god, that was so D-list movie quality. It was horrible. I cringed the whole time she was on screen, and they tried to give her more, and they tried to make her the character who's just being, complacent and like, just comply with the machines. We can get along somehow. We don't have to be mean with them. They don't have to worry about them taking over on us. And which is totally contradictory of how the first film was. And just, I hated her being on screen. It was too much. You could have just replaced her. Ugh, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. That's it. No, I can't talk about it no more. I can't. I've bastard too much. I didn't want one of my second reviews coming out to be a bashing the films thing, because I kind of want this review channel to be about films I like, and like if I like them a little bit, there should be reason why I'm watching them, because I like something about them, right? And so I should almost sometimes be slightly persuaded in watching these films. And this was one where I walked into it and I said, "Nah, man, this one needs to be tore down." And I thought I just, it's sad. 4 out of 10, bro. I can't do any. 4 out of 10, man. What do you want me to do? It's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. It's pretty bad. I mean, You know, they turn the camera on and press record and people say lines, and was it lit? Was there some CGI? Yeah, okay. I'll give you about 4 points out of 10. I'll give you, because it was below average. And I guess I'm just giving it a 4 instead of a 3 or a 2 because I love the first original one so much. Yeah, man, that's too bad. But anyways, okay, that'll do it for my review of The Matrix 4 Resurrections. We appreciate you guys always tuning in. Once again, I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're alerted anytime we drop a new video discussing reviews or reactions of films and cinema and everything alike. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Peace.